What if I told you that a lazy high school player who once had to be bribed with hamburgers just to score ended up becoming one of the greatest players the NBA has ever seen? Sounds unbelievable, right? Well, that player is James Harden. Known for his laid-back playstyle and constant criticism over his defense, it often looked like he didn't care at all. But the truth is, that same style combined with his deadly step back and underrated athleticism transformed him from a bench player into an NBA scoring champion and most valuable player. So, how did Harden turn what looked like laziness into one of the most unstoppable scoring packages in basketball? And if he's that good, why has he never won a championship? Well, to find out, we have to go back to the 1990s in Compton, Los Angeles. James Edward Harden Jr., who was nicknamed Lucky by his mother, Monya Willis, due to the fact that she had tragically suffered a series of miscarriages before birthing James, not only grew up without a father.
He was in jail, so we really didn't spend time together at all because I had no trust in him. I had no faith in him. So it was just me and my mom.
But in one of the most dangerous areas in the United States.
A place where you're not supposed to make it out of. The odds are against you. A lot of people aren't strong-minded. And they either end up, in jail or not here anymore.
So Monya kept her children focused on other things. Sports, to be specific.
So it says, could you wake me up at 7? And could you leave me a couple of dollars?
P.S. Keep this paper. I'm gonna be a star.
Yet a young Harden faced a key issue. By the time he arrived at Artesia High School, not only was he the only freshman on their varsity squad, he was also their slowest, laziest, and most overweight player.
I couldn't really do anything. I couldn't really move. It's kind of slow. Very slow. But I could shoot. I was a catch and shoot type of player.
Therefore, to overcome his pitfalls, Harden took to studying slower and more crafty players from the NBA.
The Euro step is all natural instincts. Just me being crafty and not me being very, quick. I had to figure a way to get to the basket.
A work ethic that, once his junior season had arrived in 2004, saw James dominating the state of California.
James he wants whatever he wants, he goes out and get it.
From accepting a Division I scholarship to Arizona State University, averaging 18.8 points per game in his senior season, being named as a McDonald's All-American, to winning back-to-back state championships, James Harden seemed destined for greatness. But upon arrival for his freshman collegiate campaign, issues began to arise for James. Because not even a 17.8 point, 5.3 rebound, and 3.2 assist averages, plus leading his whole conference in steals at 2.1 per game, saw his name ranked highly on 2008 NBA draft mock boards.
I felt I wasn't ready yet, so my sophomore year I wanted to come back and be that much better. And I put myself in a great situation.
November 30th, 2008. Hungry to show scouts that he was capable of playing at the highest level of the sport, James Harden got to work. Whether it was highlighting his elite finishing package near the hoop,
Harden counted in the foul,
or lighting up the net from long range.
Lasser finding the open man. Why not? Practice jumper. Yeah, 38 points.
Harden was stuffing the stat sheet. Thanks to his 40-point night, which he followed up 2 months later with 36 against the Oregon Ducks, James was rising on the 2009 draft boards of many teams. But it was what he did against other NBA prospects, such as Drew Holiday,
That one's off the glass and will count.
or Aaron Baines, as well as his NBA comparison,
Two players, Ginobili and Paul Pierce put together.
that had league teams beginning to pay attention. Combine this with his developing playmaking talents, carrying his subpar ASU team to the second round of the March Madness tournament, being named as the Pac-10 Player of the Year and a consensus All-American, Harden was ready to change his life.
And I think I need to take my game to the next level. So I think I decided to declare for the NBA draft.
June 25th, 2009.
With the third pick in the 2009 NBA draft, the Oklahoma City Thunder select James Harden of Arizona State University.
Across that stage I wish moms could have walked up there with me.
I have different paces to my game. I'm not the fastest guy. I'm not the most explosive guy, but I get from point A to point B. And just going there and helping, those guys out, like Kevin Durant and Russell, it's going to be a great honor.
But with scouts pointing out key flaws, such as his ability to drive right, mid-range game, and high turnover average, could James Harden really succeed? Especially at Oklahoma City, considering just how much talent that they already had. As James Harden's NBA career began in the 2009-2010 season, even though he was OKC's third choice, the LA native was relegated to the squad's bench for the early part of their season. Yet, in a mid-November game against the Orlando Magic, everything was about to change for Harden. As, due to the team who had just been to the NBA Finals getting out to an early lead, OKC's top choice saw the court much earlier and for longer than ever before, an opportunity Harden ran with.
Here, Harden for three. Again, he's got another one.
Knocking down 6 of his 7 attempts from 3 and finishing this night with a brand new career high of 24 points. Then, just 2 days later against the Washington Wizards, the opposite happened. This time, OKC got out to a huge lead early, and again, Harden received a larger chance. Eclipsing his career high by a single point on 3 less shot attempts as the Thunder rounded out this game with a W. Yet, it was on December 7th, 2009 against the Golden State Warriors in which James would showcase his full bag of scoring tricks.
On the run out, nice find by Collison.
Not only would James Harden highlight his athletic talents, shooting skills, and finishing package, but also his ability to place pressure on the referees to get himself to the free throw line.
One of the things that we love about James that he can make plays for himself and others, and he has a nice mix. But he was terrific. He was getting into the paint, making plays, and he finished strong at a couple of times and got to the free throw line and made some good passes.
Harden's 14 foul shots, in which he knocked down 13, saw his squad leaving this battle with a key victory against fellow 2009 draftee Stephen Curry. As the end of the 2009-2010 season arrived, Oklahoma City, partly thanks to Harden's 10-point average off the bench and the domination of their other young stars, Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, had managed to grab the Western Conference's 8th seed heading into the postseason. However, standing between them and the second round was the defending NBA champions, Harden's idol Kobe Bryant and his Los Angeles Lakers. An almost impossible challenge that, as the buzzer rang in Game 2, as LA handed the young Thunder their second loss that seemed unachievable. Yet, once OKC touched down on their home court for Game 3, the first playoff game held in Oklahoma City since the franchise shifted from Seattle. By the way, seriously, we need to bring back the Sonics. I just read that apparently there's going to be European teams. Can we bring back the Sonics before we do that? Come on, guys. The Thunder weren't ready to let their fans down.
They need James Harden to make that shot right there. The lid is off the basket officially.
The Thunder rookie, who had literally scored 0 points during the first 2 battles, was starting to finally heat up. Whether it was knocking down threes, pressing the subscribe button, or drawing fouls,
2 stops in a row and you score here.
James was doing it all. In fact, the man who was starting to grow his beard out had managed to drop a vital 18 points on 57% shooting from the field, a contribution that saw his Thunder finally move into the win column, an achievement which simply repeated itself in Game 4. James's 15 points would see OKC shockingly tie the series at 2 wins each, as this first round battle returned to Harden's hometown for Game 5. But, of course, the defending NBA champions were never going to be defeated by a team with an average professional experience of just 3.6 seasons. However, despite failing at the first hurdle, it was clear Oklahoma City had found their core of the future. Unguardable wing scorer Kevin Durant, crazy athletic point guard Russell Westbrook, shot-blocking power forward Serge Ibaka, and go-get-us-a-bucket off the bench James Harden. But their third pick was yet to reveal one of his key talents to the NBA world. While James Harden clearly had a knack for finding the bottom of the net, his body, combined with Harden's innate athletic gifts, made him an elite defender. In fact, OKC's head coach, Scott Brooks, often tasked his sixth man, which by the way, if you don't know, because I know not everyone that watches is like a super mad NBA fan and knows all these terms, sixth man just means the first person off the bench, with guarding the opposing team's best player. But a huge question remained. With the Thunder improving dramatically, grabbing the 4th seed in the Western Conference this season, could they actually make it past the first round this time? Or would their opposition, the Denver Nuggets, bring them down? April 20th, 2011. After Harden struggled mightily in their Game 1 victory, only managing to conjure up 5 points, James was hungry to rectify his failure. Harden's emphatic dunk, a bucket that sparked an 18-point night on 55% from the field, and an eventual 4-1 series victory, saw OKC entering the second round against the Memphis Grizzlies as the clear favorite. However, thanks to a Memphis team loaded with defensive talent from point guard Mike Conley all the way to big man Marc Gasol, Harden was yet again held to just 5 points in Game 1. While Durant and Westbrook combined for 62, without much contribution from their bench star, the Thunder simply weren't going to escape the series alive. May 3rd, 2011.
In Game 1, they got a good start on us. They were being physical, so we wanted to come out and match their intensity and get the first hit.
Harden's mindset coming into this must-win game not only saw him come out and get to the line for 11 made free throws on 11 attempts, but help his Thunder side to tie the series at 1 game each. While the Grizzlies responded in Game 3, OKC's victories in both Games 4 and 5 saw Oklahoma City be just a single victory away from the Western Conference Finals. But with Memphis desperate to make a finals run, their Game 6 W saw the series all come down to this. May 15th, 2011, Game 7, win or go home. James Harden's insane strength, ability to control his body, plus his feathery soft touch around the hoop would not only see him put in a vital 17 points on just 10 shot attempts, but his teammates' 39-point performance would see one of the league's youngest teams heading to their conference's highest stage. Yet, while their sixth man seemingly followed the same script of struggling in their first battle, then recovering in a huge way during Game 2, everything started to fall apart for the Thunder. Their Western Conference Finals opponent, the Dallas Mavericks, fueled to avenge their 2006 Finals failure, would breeze right past the young OKC side on their route to being crowned kings of the NBA. While Harden and Oklahoma City had fallen short of their championship goal, the fact that they were this close, this early in their young core's career was promising. However, what happened during the 2011-2012 season would change James Harden's life forever. March 7th, 2012.
Scotty Brooks came up to me and said, "Do you want to start?" And I told him, no, because we had a chemistry. My role was to come off the bench, and that was for the better of the team.
OKC's former third pick, who once hated his bench role, came to realize just how important it was for not only his teammates, but OKC's fan base, who, after James had significantly grown out his beard over the course of their elongated offseason, had been lovingly nicknamed the Beard. Harden's continuation of his all-around dominance would see the rising star score his first 30-point NBA game against the Phoenix Suns. Yet, this wasn't the most shocking part. No, that belonged to the reality that both Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook had done the exact same thing. 90 points from just 3 players. Honestly, good luck to the NBA over the next few seasons. To make things even better, Harden's eventual 40-point night against the Suns later on that season, plus his shift in mindset.
Learning 3 years it took me to embrace that role. Come in, not just score the ball, but just change the game. Whether it's defense or offense or just creating steals. Some nights I'm not going to score, but just doing whatever it takes to win the game. And Scotty really embraced that and put that into my head. So I really appreciate him for that.
Saw the LA native be crowned as the league's 6th man of the year. With Durant also being awarded the NBA scoring title, the Thunder set their sights on their one true goal, an NBA championship. After disposing of Dallas in just 4 games and the Los Angeles Lakers in 5, OKC was prepared for their first real challenge, the San Antonio Spurs, a 4-time championship-winning franchise that had been revitalized since the acquisition of rising rookie Kawhi Leonard. While it was a young star that shined a new light on the former dynasty, it was the experience of their own big three, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili, which trumped not only OKC, but Harden's 30-point night in Game 2. So, in a 2-0 hole, OKC damn near had to win the next 4 games in a row. But as OKC was nearing the completion of that almost impossible task, the Spurs were clawing their way back from the dead during Game 5. With their franchise centerpiece, Duncan, scoring all over the beard, placing his squad in striking distance of a crucial victory, James Harden knew exactly what he had to do.
Shot clock to 5. Harden for 3, yes!
Harden's dagger step back 3 had saved his Thunder, and with a massive comeback victory in Game 6, OKC was heading to the NBA Finals. However, between them and the Larry O'Brien Trophy stood LeBron James and the Miami Heat, bruised, battered, and scarred from trying to carry a failing Cleveland Cavaliers franchise, and having just embarrassingly lost in last year's finals, James was unstoppable. While being decimated 4-1 stung, OKC's young trio's achievement of not only making it to the finals, but winning gold medals at the 2012 Olympic Games proved that perhaps all they needed was another season together and the crown would be theirs.
The Thunder has traded away the NBA's 6th man of the year to Houston.
But why? Just months removed from an NBA Finals berth, would the Thunder do this?
Why didn't you accept the offer?
It was like an afternoon phone call, so like 4 o'clock, and I had it to, an hour or so to make my decision, whether I wanted to take the offer or not. And I'm thinking to myself, this is the most money I've ever made in my life, and you're giving me a short amount of time to decide. And it wasn't enough time for me. Sam Presti called me and just said that, sorry, we love you, but, we've traded you to the Houston Rockets. That was, a very, very sad night. Laid down and just started tearing up. We had big plans that we were going to, win a championship for years. That ended quick.
Yet, while the rest of the NBA world was stunned,
You blew it, Thunder!
Harden shifted his focus.
He's absolutely someone that when they see him step into the role of the star of the Houston Rockets, people are going to realize just how good he is.
However, it had been nearly 4 years since he last held the role of being the guy on his team, and given James had never had to fill those shoes in the NBA, was he actually capable of it? October 31st, 2012. After arriving just 4 days before Houston's first regular season game against the Detroit Pistons and barely practicing with his new squad, further doubts arose. But James began to show everyone what he was truly capable of.
Folks, this is James Harden. This is what he does.
The beard was dominant from everywhere, whether it was pick and roll, using his signature Euro step, drawing fouls, knocking down threes, or dishing to his teammates.
He may have been the 6th man of the year last year, but he is the man.
James Harden was cooking.
Harden finishes with 37 points and 12 assists.
But just 2 nights later, the former Thunder 6th man would do something even more shocking. Against the Atlanta Hawks, after beginning his night with a mid-range jumper, Harden just picked right back up where he left off. Except this time, he highlighted another elite aspect of his game, drawing fouls. James's 17 free throw attempts, in which he made 15, would see the rising superstar in this battle with a W and 45 points.
Those 2 games gave me that confidence.
that I was going to be all right. I was going to be good.
Over the next 3 months, the Beard, alongside Houston's other marquee signing, point guard Jeremy Lin, would lead the Rockets to a 29-25 record. But it wasn't just wins that Harden was achieving.
The first-time All-Star from your Houston Rockets, James Harden.
Yet, it was on February 20th, 2013, against his old club, in which James would show the Thunder exactly how big the mistake they made was.
Harden with another three. On fire. 4 threes in a row for James Harden. Harden's got 1 second left, gets it off from midcourt. Oh! James Harden with a three from midcourt at the buzzer. Harden's got Reggie Jackson on him on the switch. Harden says, I can take Reggie Jackson, steps back, fires, hits! James Harden with a cold-blooded two!
The now NBA starter, thanks to setting a brand new career high of 46 points, had finally defeated his former franchise. However, as the Rockets entered the postseason as the 8th seed, they would once again have to defeat the Oklahoma City Thunder if they were to move deeper into the playoffs. A feat that, despite their new stars' 26.3 point, 6.7 rebound, 4.5 assist, and 2 steal averages during their 6 battles, that the young Houston side simply couldn't overcome. But given his insane debut season with the Houston Rockets, James Harden was clearly a superstar in the making, and what was about to happen would potentially place Houston that one step closer to becoming a championship contender.
Breaking news into our NBA TV studios. Hi everybody, I'm Jared Greenberg. As has been widely reported, Dwight Howard appears to be on his way to the Houston Rockets.
Dwight Howard, who had just spent a rocky season with the Los Angeles Lakers after carrying the team who drafted him #1 to the 2009 NBA Finals, was excited to be playing alongside James Harden, going so far as to compare the duo to that of Kobe and Shaq in the early 2000s. But doubt that the pair could actually work together arose immediately. Uncertainties centered around Howard's reluctance in Los Angeles, playing under head coach Mike D'Antoni, to do anything other than posting up. And given that Houston played in a similar way, many were left confused as to why Houston even made this move in the first place. Yet, both Harden and Howard were hungry to prove them all wrong, with Dwight scoring 35 against the Detroit Pistons, 34 versus the Phoenix Suns, and 33 on the Dallas Mavericks, combined with James Harden incredibly being named in just his 5th year in the league to the NBA first team. The pair were ready for their first challenge on their title journey, the Damian Lillard-led Portland Trail Blazers. May 2nd, 2014. While the Rockets entered this must-win game down in the series 2-3, given that they were fresh off a Game 5 win and the fact that Harden was finally cooking for the first time this postseason, saw most expecting a Game 7 back home in Texas. Because thanks to another insane performance from their other star, Dwight Howard, who dropped 13 points in the final quarter alone, all the Rockets had to do was get one more defensive stop and they would be heading back home for their final matchup.
Lillard, he got the shot off! Lillard, good! And the Blazers win the series for the first time in 14 years!
May 10th, 2015, Houston, who during the 2014-2015 season had not only seen their All-NBA first-team member rise to finish just 2nd in MVP voting, but their squad actually making it past the first round. However, after losing in their previous battle against their second-round opponent, the Los Angeles Clippers, the Rockets were in a hole that only 8 other NBA teams had ever come out of, down 3-1. Therefore, Harden knew what he had to do. So he began scoring at will, doing so in an almost effortless fashion, whilst at the same time distributing the basketball with ease to his wide open teammates. A nonchalant 26-point and 10-assist night in their Game 5 victory that spilled over as the Rockets became the 9th team ever to come back from being down 3-1 in a playoff series. But their next opponent, who to begin this season had fired their head coach and replaced him with Steve Kerr, the Golden State Warriors, would easily dispose of Houston. In fact, their only victory during the Western Conference Finals came thanks to a 45-point night in Game 4 from James Harden. Yet, while the Rockets had failed, the Beard was seemingly following the exact same script from his time in OKC. So, perhaps, all his squad needed was another season together and maybe another piece to make them into a championship team? Well, after starting the 2015-2016 season with a poor 4-win and 7-loss record, Rockets head coach Kevin McHale was fired.
Kevin, were you stunned?
Yes.
That the Rockets let you go?
Yeah, I was. I kind of went in and I had said that we had a rough camp. A lot of guys injured. Dwight couldn't do back-to-back practices and was not going to be able to do back-to-back games until December. James had sprained his ankle in the summer. Harden came in overweight, and we just weren't playing very well. And I told our guys at the end of training camp, I said, hey, we're a month, 6 weeks away from our team kind of gelling and playing well. So we got off to a tough start, and I came in and I sat down and they said, you're fired. I went, who?
Then, after appointing JB Bickerstaff as an interim head coach, issues between Dwight Howard and the organization began to show up.
I played with Dwight Howard, James Harden. All right, so this is James Harden. He give 40, 20s, and 20. Like some wild video, like video games. Dwight get mad, get that off rebound. I'm on the outlet. James on the outlet. He look at both. Let's push that up the court. Ooh. We watch on film. Dwight, James open. He man, next play. Next play. I'm open on the post slide. I don't get it.
Therefore, after the Rockets were eliminated far short of their title goals in just the first round by the 73-win, 9-loss Golden State Warriors, Houston's general manager, Daryl Morey, got to work on fixing his team. Firstly, Mike D'Antoni, a head coach known for his laid-back approach and fast-paced, pick-and-roll based offense, was hired to lead the franchise, which quickly saw Howard looking elsewhere. But his departure to the Atlanta Hawks wasn't seen as a negative. Simply put, Clint Capella, who the Rockets had chosen in 2014, had been slowly developing into the perfect big man for Coach D'Antoni's offense. However, while the team greatly improved under their freshly crowned 2017 NBA Coach of the Year's new approach, who had shifted his star to being the team's point guard, huge issues were exposed during their second round series against the San Antonio Spurs. With the main problem being that the Rockets were too reliant on Harden, and opposing teams, much like they did in college, found it far too easy to slow down James.
Here's Harden, Ginobili's on him. He's got, shot, what a play by Ginobili! Knocked it away! San Antonio wins in overtime!
So, after failing to save his team in Game 6, in which the Beard only scored 10 points, serious questions began to be raised about if James Harden's approach to basketball could actually see his franchise win a championship.
But the problem with James Harden is he's what I would call a dead-end player, which means that he's so good, he will be the primary ball handler on some team. But he's simply not good enough as that guy to win you a championship. Not good enough.
But everyone in the Rockets organization knew it wasn't really a Harden issue. No, it was a roster issue.
Breaking news today, happened about 15 minutes ago. Chris Paul's Clipper career is officially over.
On behalf of the Houston Rockets organization and Mr. Alexander, I'm excited to introduce Chris Paul to the Rockets family.
But this decision raised some serious doubts about if they could actually work together. Two ball-dominant stars, both guards, playing alongside each other.
Boom! He's demoted. He's punished because basically he just went from being the center of Mike D'Antoni's universe. He just went to basically another cog in the offense. A wing player, a spot-up shooter, just a cog in the offense. And he's not going to like it. Houston will be a little worse with CP3 than it was last year without CP3.
Questions, which due to Chris Paul missing the first month of the regular season due to injury, that didn't get answered. But without his new running mate and desperate to push his team into championship contention, James Harden got to work.
Harden pulls the trigger. Got
The Beard's truly effortless 56-point career high night, a blisteringly hot performance, which was only made more mind-blowing by the fact that he had 13 assists in their victory. But it just got crazier. And no, I'm not going to talk about this ankle breaker on Wesley Johnson, although this is pretty insane.
Oh, man, Harden. Oh, he stared at Wesley Johnson, and then he hits a three.
Because Harden was about to do something that had never been achieved in the history of the NBA. January 30th, 2018.
There's Harden again. Just a layup drill.
Houston, being down 3 of their key players in Chris Paul, and shooters Trevor Ariza and Eric Gordon, desperately needed their superstar to carry them to victory.
Look at the 3 guys guarding Harden. Puts it up and in anyway.
So, in what was becoming standard fashion, James began destroying the Orlando Magic defense without ever breaking a sweat.
Harden steps back, fires. Go! James Harden is the new scoring one-game champion for the Houston Rockets.
And as the game's final buzzer sounded, Harden had set a new record.
60 points, 11 assists, 10 rebounds. The new scoring, one-game scoring record for Houston. Harden scored 36 points in the second half. He accounted for 86 of the points tonight for Houston's 114.
Becoming the first player ever to record a 60-point triple-double.
He locked up MVP, that's for sure.
But Houston, knowing full well that their road to an NBA championship would no doubt see them running into rivals, the Golden State Warriors, who, after losing to LeBron James in 2016, had added Harden's old teammate Kevin Durant, spent their whole season preparing for their inevitable battle.
We played the entire season when I was in Houston one way, basically defensively, and it was basically to get ready for Golden State. We played the whole season learning how to switch screens and the ISO ball that everybody hated. We played that way because we knew we were going to have to do that in order to beat Golden State.
Plus, proving to all those who doubted that CP3 and the Beard could work together wrong. As in the 55 games Harden, Paul, and Capella all played in together,
the energy from the tip until the end. This is really what I try to do. Like,
what do you mean by that?
They only lost 5. Domination, which simply continued into the postseason as Houston destroyed both the Minnesota Timberwolves and then the Utah Jazz in just 5 games. However, their first real test awaited them in the Western Conference Finals, a matchup that pretty much no one thought Houston would win.
You've heard me say this a million times. I do not believe this is going to be the best part of the playoffs, because I think Golden State is going to make this very disappointing for everyone. The
Western Conference Finals.
Yes, they're going to win handily.
A thought that, as the final buzzer sounded in Game 3, with the Golden State Warriors grabbing a 2-1 lead, which seemed to be true. May 22nd, 2018. While the Rockets would find themselves in a 12-0 hole early, things slowly began to turn around.
We just took a nice punch early. We got to just withstand it and play our game and keep our intensity up.
And with James doing this,
The drive and stuffs a facial by James Harden going right at Draymond Green, and a lot of chatter out there.
plus putting in 30 points, whilst his squad's elite defense held the Warriors to just 12 fourth quarter points that saw the Rockets heading back home, having tied the series. Yet, doubt still remained.
My gut feeling is Houston found something, but I'm not sure they can duplicate that.
No, it's going to be very difficult. Remember, they only played 7 guys the entire game.
Game 5. While it was the Beard who took over in the two franchises' fourth battle, on this night it was their new point guard's turn to step up.
Has to force one and scores! A deep three-pointer by Chris Paul.
With Chris Paul putting in 20 and their off-the-bench shooting guard Eric Gordon adding in a team high of 24, all whilst holding Golden State to just 94 points, the Rockets were a single win away from the NBA Finals. However,
and that breaking news from the Rockets. Within the last 30 minutes, we have learned that Chris Paul will have to sit out Game 6 against the Warriors tomorrow night.
Therefore, if Harden was going to return to the championship round for the first time since 2012, he was going to have to play the game of his life.
I mean, I'm going against a real dynasty, head up.
Yet, as the halftime buzzer sounded, despite losing their star point guard, Houston actually found themselves with a solid 10-point lead thanks to their superstars' 22 points. Combine this with Golden State Warriors superstar Steph Curry shooting just 14% from 3, a massive upset seemed almost guaranteed. But Golden State was entering their most deadly period, the third quarter, a section of the game in which the Warriors would turn their defense up to a completely different level, holding Houston to 24 points in not just the third period, but the whole second half, meaning it all came down to this: Game 7, win or go home. A game that will be remembered in the NBA history books forever. Because during the second quarter, Houston, who held a commanding 12-point lead, would go on to set one of the craziest NBA records that will likely never even come close to being broken. Because from this point on, the Rockets would miss every single one of their three-point attempts, totaling 27 misses in a row as Golden State returned to the NBA Finals for the fourth consecutive year. Despite tragically being booted out of championship contention, essentially due to Chris Paul's hamstring, there was one positive for Harden.
And the Kia NBA Most Valuable Player goes to James Harden, the Houston Rockets.
However, his road back to the NBA Finals was going to be a very long and difficult journey for James Harden, because just 20 games into the following 2018-2019 season, Houston once again found themselves with a horrific 9-win and 11-loss record. Not even a mind-boggling 54-point and 13-assist performance could push the Bears Rockets into the win column. Yet, on December 13th, 2018, against the new-look Los Angeles Lakers, everything began changing for Houston and Harden.
The Western Conference final in astonishment as here's Harden, got the step and stuff. Oh, what a move! And he went right at JaVale McGee.
A dunk, which was seemingly the first domino in what would eventually become one of the greatest individual seasons in NBA history. Because James Harden, with his nonchalant, almost lazy scoring package, which you can only develop by truly mastering the game, would not only see him finish this battle with a 50-point triple-double, but continue to do some insane things as he tried to guide his Rockets to the NBA Finals. Over their next 9 games, as they prepared for their first rematch at the Golden State Warriors, James was averaging literally 0.2 points under 40 points a game. Then, once that fateful night arrived in Oakland, Harden's 33-point regulation and then 8-point overtime had seemingly seen his Rockets grab a key victory against their rival. However, with Kevin Durant saving the ball out of bounds, which gave Stephen Curry an opportunity to put the Warriors ahead. By the way, any OG, and I mean OG fans of my channel, do you recognize this play? If you know, you know. And it seemed that all hope was lost. Or was it?
Down to 2, it's a 3. Good! Good! He got it! James Harden, a flamethrower! Found the ball. It's Durant, it's a 3, and the Rockets have won!
Then, starting from that fateful night against the Lakers earlier on in the season, Harden had gone on one of the most insane runs.
The run James had?
It's crazy. Come on, bro.
The run James had was like, that ain't even a video game.
It was crazy, bro.
Shit was like some, like Space Jam. You know what I mean? Because, like, if you didn't watch the game, you just knew when you checked the box score, it was going to be something crazy.
38, 40.
40,
15
45,
assists.
15 assists, 10 rebounds. Like, that run he had, bro, that it was incredible and high. He did it. It looked like it was with no effort.
The Bears' 32 30 or more point games in a row was the second most ever in the history of the league, with the first being Wilt Chamberlain, of course, which, if you've been hearing about all these insane stats and stories and you're like, is it real? I actually made a nearly hour-long documentary on his career, so if that piques your interest, feel free to check it out after this video. However, these efforts weren't always met with praise.
I'm not a fan of in terms of winning championships. I don't think that style is ever going to win championships. But at the same time, you have to keep your team's head above water to win games. So you have to do what you have to do to win games, and he's doing that.
So are you saying you don't think James Harden and the Rockets, as constructed, can win a title?
Not with this style of play, it won't win. Right, with one player dominating the ball. If you take one player, you put him at the top of the key, or you put him on the wing, and you're running screen rolls, you're always in front of the defense. The defense can key on that, particularly in the playoffs. And that's easy to defend. It's easy to defend. Now, what he's doing is absolutely remarkable, though.
But, at least in Harden's eyes, he was simply doing what was needed to push his team over the line. And in this season, that so happened to be leading the NBA in scoring at 36.3 points per game. James was so dominant that during their first round playoff series victory, the Utah Jazz, led by head coach Quinn Snyder, began guarding Harden in a very unique way. What are they doing?
When I seen somebody guard him and stand behind him,
I
close my hands about his
with
back.
their hands behind their back.
I said, I don't know what is going on right here. This is bad basketball, but he that special where you can't even know what to do.
Yet, the real challenge laid ahead.
I don't believe that James Harden is gonna choke. I think James Harden's gonna show up. I'm saying it ain't gonna matter because KD, Steph, and Klay gonna show up.
A point from Stephen A, which rang true during the two franchises' first battles. Because the Bears' 35-point night in Game 1 and 29 in Game 2 was dwarfed by the Warriors trio's 66 in Game 1 and 70 in Game 2. But James Harden was never going to go down without a fight. May 4th, 2019, overtime. Harden's epic 34 points in this game's regulation were just 5 minutes away from once again being meaningless.
5 to shoot. Harden gets in the paint, floats it up and in. 36 for Harden. Shot clock again, down to 5. Harden, step back 3. Bang! Harden, the drive, floats it up, shot's good!
The Rockets superstar's 41-point night, which he followed up with an amazing 38 in Game 4, had seen his franchise tie the series. Maybe, just maybe, Houston would actually be the team to dethrone the Warriors. Well, Golden State, hungry to become the first team to three-peat since the Kobe and Shaq-led Lakers in the early 2000s, simply couldn't be stopped. Not even a literal 0-point first half from Steph Curry in Game 6 could prevent the Warriors from doing what they set out to do. With Curry scoring a shocking 33 points in just the second half of that must-win game, Houston and Harden were, once again, left empty-handed. Not only was James devastated, but issues were beginning to boil to the surface.
The Athletic is reporting that during Game 6, there was some tension between Chris Paul and James Harden about the way they were running the offense.
When Chris Paul was initiating the offense, James Harden looked disinterested. I did it on this show too.
Yes.
I showed how he didn't maintain spacing. He didn't spot up.
Hands on his knees at half court.
He flat out walked. How do you think Chris Paul felt about that?
Therefore, Daryl Morey got to work, sending Chris Paul to the Oklahoma City Thunder in exchange for Harden's former point guard, Russell Westbrook.
You know, it's like, oh my God, they got Russ. I just don't see how this worked.
While there were, as normal, doubters, James was once again proving he would do anything to see his Houston team win a title, whether that was busting out insane step backs,
Harden step back, puts up the 3, got hit, shot's good, and 1!
Or playing incredible defense to save their first round series against his former franchise. It was clear there was only one thing on Harden's mind, and it wasn't strip clubs. But once again, Houston faced a roadblock that was simply too great for their squad to overcome. Their superstars' 30-point average on 50% from the field plus 7.2 assists simply wasn't enough to slow down the eventual 2020 NBA champion Los Angeles Lakers. So, seeking change, Harden began the following 2020-2021 season looking to be shifted elsewhere.
I love this city. I literally, have done everything that I can. This situation is crazy. It's something that I don't think can be fixed. So.
Houston turns the page on the James Harden era 9 games into his 9th season wearing the Rocket uniform. 4-team deal. Players winding up all over the place. James Harden in Brooklyn.
James Harden was not only moving to a new franchise, but joining one that had one-time champion point guard Kyrie Irving and two-time champion former teammate Kevin Durant. Yet, questions arose about the squad's defensive ability.
Yes, you have all the offensive power in the world, but guess what? Defense wins championships.
Especially having lost key big man Jarrett Allen in the trade. But Harden's 32-point debut in a Nets uniform, plus his 44-point night against the Pistons, and 40 points plus 15 assists versus the Pacers without Kyrie or KD showed that the Nets were in fact legit. However, as the 2020-2021 regular season was nearing its end, their new shooting guard would tragically suffer a hamstring injury. Yet, with James returning just in time to demolish the Boston Celtics defense throughout their first round matchup, averaging 27.8 points, 10.6 assists, 7.2 rebounds, and 2 steals, a Nets championship seemed almost guaranteed. Also, sorry, quick pause in the story. I just want to point out and highlight how elite James Harden is at stripping the ball or stealing it after he gets beat. It's legitimately insane how talented he is at getting blown by, but then somehow still coming up with a defensive stop. I mean, just look at this. Crazy. Anyway, sorry, back to the video. But with James Harden, who had been healthy his whole career, re-injuring his hamstring, plus Kyrie suffering a similar fate, with the added pain of Kevin Durant's big toe, the Brooklyn Nets were sent home empty-handed. A tragic fate, which seemingly had no end in sight during the following season.
What we know is, from what the people that I've spoken to, he wants out of Brooklyn. He does not want to be there.
I'm told that James Harden wants a trade to the Philadelphia 76ers. He wants it to happen today prior to the trade deadline.
Brooklyn Nets, they're trading James Harden to Philadelphia for Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 first-round picks. That's according to our Adrian Wojnarowski.
The Beard, after just a single playoff run with the Nets, wanted out, and the allure of playing under his former general manager, who had been hired by the Philadelphia 76ers, and a chance to form a brand new Kobe and Shaq-like duo with MVP candidate Joel Embiid, seemed like the right move for Harden. But with James being forced into more of a secondary role alongside the younger superstar Embiid, could they actually work together? February 25th, 2022.
James Harden driving and finishing, and so it begins.
James Harden, wearing the jersey he had actually wanted to don since requesting a move from Houston, began his career in Philadelphia, showcasing the other talent he possessed, as his 27-point plus 12 assists proved he was more than willing to slot into a playmaking role as the 76ers chased a championship, a style that ran deep into Philly's postseason run, because during their first round series against the Toronto Raptors that went all the way to a must-win Game 7, Harden's 10.2 assist average saw the 76ers take their first big step towards their title dreams. However, having lost Embiid due to an elbow from Pascal Siakam in Game 7 for the start of their second round series against the Miami Heat, Philadelphia found themselves in a 2-0 hole. Therefore, battered and bruised, Joel returned donning a face mask, a sacrifice which saw Philadelphia lock up the Heat in Game 3, and Harden's contribution of 31 points in Game 4 saw the 76ers tie up the series. But it was during Game 5 where everything began to go downhill for James Harden. His horrendous 5th and 6th game performance, in which he scored just 25 points combined in both games, resulted in the Miami Heat heading to the Eastern Conference Finals.
That performance by James Harden requires an investigation. How in God's name do you go 22 minutes in the second half and attempt one shot?
Yet, having only spent 34 games together as a unit, perhaps a full 82-game season together would see Philadelphia being able to go much deeper into the 2023 playoffs. December 23rd, 2022, a night which proved to be a massive turning point in Philadelphia's postseason hopes, as the Joel Embiid James Harden pick and roll combination proved to be literally unguardable. If the defense focused on Harden, Embiid was right there, and if they took away Joel, James was more than capable of putting up a monster scoring night himself, with the Beard recording a new career high of 21 assists in this victory, a theme which continued as Philadelphia rounded out the 2022-2023 season as the 3rd seed, saw Harden not only lead the NBA in assists at 10.7 per game, but Joel going on to be crowned as the league MVP. However, could this duo really make it to the finals, or was Harden going to once again fail in crucial games? May 7th, 2023. Philadelphia finds themselves in a 2-1 deficit against the team who had just been to the NBA Finals, the Boston Celtics, with the 76ers' only series victory coming thanks to an insane 45-point night in Game 1 from the Beard. Philly knew they needed their new star point guard to truly take over, which is exactly what he did. But with just 20 seconds left and down 2 points, this vital victory was slipping away unless Harden could step up and save his franchise.
Harden floater for the tie, got it!
However, Jason Tatum, the Celtic star forward, would simply reply with a massive 3 of his own. So was this the end for Philadelphia?
Out to Harden for the 3, got it! Smart. Got it! Did it count?
I don't think he got it off.
Did not get it off in time, it appeared.
Yet, the same old story just kept repeating itself. Over the next 3 crucial battles, Harden faltered, only averaging just 11 points on 25% shooting from the field and 9% from 3 as Boston crushed the 76ers' dreams. However, what was about to happen over the offseason was truly insane.
And the Sixers begin the season with all sorts of questions about James Harden, who wants to be traded to the Clippers, who has called President of Basketball Operations Daryl Morey a liar.
And I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of. Let me say that again. Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of.
Therefore, clearly unwilling to play under his longtime general manager, Harden eventually got his wish.
James Harden is headed to the Los Angeles Clippers in a blockbuster trade.
Yet, despite now playing for his technical hometown NBA team and continuing the same form he had been showing for years,
Harden, this is for the lead. Oh, he put it in! Count it and a foul! Oh my goodness!
The last 7 shots, they're 2 for 15 in the quarter.
Westbrook soaring in!
plus the Clippers grabbing the 4th seed in the West, issues just kept arising. Harden, during the must-win Games 5 and 6 of their first-round series against Luka Doncic and his Dallas Mavericks, the LA natives' poor 25% from the field, 7% from 3, and 11.5 point average wasn't enough to stop the Mavericks advancing to the second round. A tragedy that, regardless of Harden re-finding his all-star form in the 2024-2025 season, that occurred once again, with the Beard tripping at the final hurdle during Game 7 in their first-round series against Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets, scoring just 7 points as their opposition advanced. Harden's dream of returning to the NBA Finals sadly seems like it may never happen. While it's unclear what's in store for the remainder of Harden's career, one thing is for sure. He will forever be remembered as one of the greatest scorers and perhaps one of the best shooting guards in the history of the NBA. So where do you place the Beard all time amongst shooting guards? Number 1, 2, 4? 7? Drop your list below in the comments. And if you agree with someone else's list, go ahead and like it. That way we can see what most people believe. Speaking of top 5 lists, did you know that the man who many believe is the greatest to ever lace them up, LeBron James, had an insane rookie season that not many people remember? At just 18 years old and fresh out of math class, James was decimating players who were literally twice his age and was carrying his Cleveland Cavaliers despite his teammates hating him. So, to learn more about this insane rookie season and why the people around LeBron didn't want to see him succeed, click the video on your screen right now.